If you are watching this in succession, you know, we've talked about Tank and Twin Blades Variant. In this one, we're going to talk about Smash, probably the most consistent and therefore probably the most reliable, therefore probably the best. Is there a time when Twin Blades might be better? Sure. Is there a time when Taunt might be better? Probably, if you don't have a tank. But we're going to talk about Smash Varian because Smash Varian is actually really underrated. And there are moments where I actually think that maybe they're a pretty good character in certain situations. So Smash Varian is kind of that hybrid bruisery build. He has terrible wave clear, and I mean terrible wave clear. What he does do is help kill single targets, and killing a single target sometimes all that you need. He can be a divey tank or a divey bruiser. He can be a frontline bruiser to help complement the tank and the CC and things that you're trying to do. And we're going to talk about all those things because with every single Varian one that we've talked about, really not as much about the talents so much as it is the way that you play. And with Smash Varian, I think there's more flexibility to the way you can play him. If you're playing off-lane Varian and you're like, do I go Twin Blades or Smash? It's probably Smash. Your Q, of course, with the slow, this is how you can get on top of people, but you're probably going to try and combo this differently after we talk about it. Your parry, of course, to block autos, and then your charge to get on top of people and also do some damage and get that slow as well. Smash, if you're wondering what the heck does it do, your basic attack damage goes up by 100%. Your maximum health and regen both go up, but the biggest part is you smash a target enemy, dealing damage and lowering their armor by 20%, by 20, causing them to take 20% increased damage. That is where Varian shines. By pressing R onto a target, charging, and Lion's Fang, and getting your autos in there. And that is a lot of single target damage. Very few people in the backline can take this damage comfortably. A lot of people are going to struggle when Varian gets on them. But before we get into the talents, consider this. Instead of just taking Twin Blades or Smash Varian and diving and focusing Morales, or whoever may be back there, which there are going to be certain times where you do need to go back there. Maybe a Malfurion's back there, somebody that's more susceptible to burst damage. But consider this. I have a Johanna, I have a Garrosh, I have an Anubarak. I have a lot of these people that can stun and lock down targets directly in front of my damage dealers. If I have any damage behind my Johanna, behind my Garrosh toss, which conceivably at that point I'm no longer diving, I wait for them to toss, and I hit that same target the exact same way that everybody else does, making them, one, they're singled out by my tank, thus making me a great complementary piece because I'm reducing their armor by 20% the minute that person gets tossed in or the minute that Anubarak dives them. They now become a liability to the other team. If I have a single target out that gets isolated by my tank, you best believe I'm going to smash and then try and get my combos. I'm going to smash and get my charge and auto and my Q and my auto in, and we're talking about thousands of damage instantly after level 4, almost instantly. You get a couple of autos, you get your smash, your charge, and your Q in, and we're looking at a couple of thousand damage almost instantly. Almost. So getting a couple of those things on post level 4 is how you kill people. You don't do it by just singling somebody out by yourself. Yes, you might be able to get away with some of that at times, and that will be the preferred style. Somebody's getting blasted over here, you can create problems over there. There's a lot of situations where following the tank is good. Probably 90% of the time you should be following the tank. But there are going to be times where you need to create that distraction, get to the back line, and punish somebody that's up there, like a Vala or a Phoenix. We all know is the Phoenix counter, things like that. So let's talk about how to build them. So I think a lot of this goes to what you want to do as a Varian. Just getting that in, of course, your heroic strength should always be there because this is bonus spell damage, not auto attack damage. So the one thing that's different, right, versus Smash and Twin Blades is, of course, the attack speed, which means that you don't have Heroic Strike as often, because there you're auto-attacking very fast and you get it back quickly, the way that that functions. With this, it's going to take a little bit more time to cool down. 18 seconds, your next basic attack gets that cooldown by 2 seconds, thus making it not as frequent. So getting that bonus damage on that combo of the R, the E, the Q, the auto to get that spell damage. So a lot of that comes into play. So at level 1, I think all of these are probably good, but I think most of the time you're going to want to bring damage from that offlane role. High King's Quest gives you increased bonus attack damage. I do think that Overpower does make this pretty intriguing because whenever it blocks a hero's basic attack, Heroic Strike cooldown is refreshed and the next one deals 40% more damage. So to put this into perspective, essentially what you can do is you can R onto a target, you get your Heroic Strike damage out. And so we're talking about a lot of damage that you're adding on top of it that's spell damage and can't be mitigated by physical armor, be mitigated by regular armor. Then you're going to get auto attacked because you're diving that target. So if you use parry in there, your next one is going to be refreshed and you're going to still have that 20 armor reduction, which means more single target damage that's being amplified and getting that damage out there. So Overpower does have a place in that situation because the odds of you playing on the front line and eating an auto attack are pretty high. I do think that a lot of this, though, when you start to get used to playing Varian, is that you're going to find ways to, you're going to auto attack, you're going to try and stay into the fight a little bit longer, and it's not all about the combo burst, but so you can try and stay alive and do more damage on a more consistent basis by auto attacking. And there are a lot of things going. I think Lion's Maul kind of falls down, but if I look at Overpower is not bad because I know I'm going to have the parry, and I get 2 charges, which means that I can really deal out a lot of damage to a single target. So I actually think Overpower is good for those reasons. If I feel comfortable as Varian and I'm used to comboing as Varian, Overpower now rises in priority because of the single target damage that I'm getting with Smash. High King's Quest, though, I'm still pretty comfortable with this. This gives me more just sustained damage overall, and it kind of depends on what my team needs. I think both of those are good. I think Lion's Maul, maybe, look, all of these are close. Maybe this could be good in certain situations because you are getting bonus damage. So I'm getting bonus damage. If I can amplify that bonus damage, again, more single target damage. I think all of this is there. They all fit 3 different scenarios, potentially the same scenario. It just kind of depends on what the enemy team is and what your team is. It's almost impossible to go wrong. I'd say that High King's Quest is probably the most consistent because you know you're always going to be auto attacking, or at least you should. Lion's Maul gives me a lot of single target damage, as does Overpower. But Lion's Maul also can give me an increased slow, allowing me to stay onto those targets that are there. So there's some pros and cons to each of them. All of them seem above average when we consider Smash. I think all of these are good. Smash, of course, we already talked about this. Getting the armor reduction, the basic attack damage. The basic attack damage buff is pretty significant. Your auto attacks are pretty slow, much slower than Twin Blades. Now, level 7, a lot of this kind of comes into play around the exact same thing. While my auto attacks are slower, they are nonetheless still pretty powerful, thus meaning that both Victory Rush and Second Wind can be good. Basic attacks are going to heal me for 1%, but when I'm below 50%, I'm going to heal for 50% of the damage dealt. Because I'm doing more damage, that means I'm still getting a pretty decent heal. Victory Rush comes in this scenario. If you've watched the other videos, you already know what I'm talking about. But if I'm on maps where I'm going to be near minions, Volskaya, Dragonshire, which hopefully you're not using Varian as solo on Dragonshire, Tomb of the Spider Queen, these maps to where you can play Varian and you know that you're going to get minions that are going to die around you. This is going to give you sustain in those areas, but you're also going to get the cooldown reduction around that. And getting the cooldown reduction by proxy is really nice. If I'm on Cursed Hollow, I'm not as reliant on Victory Rush. I'm on some of these larger maps like Alterac, I might not be near those minions and I'm going to be near the objective, thus making Second Wind a lot better. If I'm just really relying on my Q and maybe I'm going up against a Samuro, Lionheart might actually be pretty good because I now have more targets to hit. So there are some different things that you want to go around that. I think Second Wind and Victory Rush are still going to be your top 2 options for most purposes. Level 10. Always protected is always good. Anytime you can become protected and reduce all damage coming in is never a bad thing. If I'm going against a lot of sustained damage, then maybe I'll go against I'll pick Warbringer. But for all intents and purposes, if you're learning Varian, there's nothing better than being protected. Trying to use Warbringer and hoping that your partner is giving you a charge out is not always reliable. And as always, going into 13, Juggernaut is not always going to be a great option. Despite this being on a 4-second cooldown, 4% just doesn't feel that great. You can do a lot more, and you're trying to blow up a target. So for that reason, protected is better in almost every scenario. If you're learning, I think if you're really spreading your wings and you know exactly why you're picking Warbringer, then maybe you can go that route. But I'm not a big fan of not having protected because you're always going to have that uh-oh button. Level 13, again, single target damage. I'm trying to kill somebody. I'm trying to smash them. I'm trying to obliterate that person's health bar very quickly. I want to make sure they don't get healed. So Mortal Strike gives me that single target damage plus that healing reduction, meaning they're more susceptible to dying, making things very good. Mortal Strike will never be a bad talent as long as it reduces 40% healing for 4 seconds. So Mortal Strike on a combo target. If I'm doing 50% of their health bar if they're a squishy off of one combo and I'm denying them 40% of that healing in return, I'm now a very valuable asset. I got 4 other people that can hopefully try and finish this target where they had to use a lot of resources to save that target, meaning that my smash is on a short cooldown and whatever they used is probably a long cooldown. So that's a trade that I'm always willing to take. Is it foolproof? Not always, but it does give me an opportunity to get that. Shattering Throw, the usual. Now, one thing I've really been contemplating is playing more Smash Varian in the off lane against Johanna, who's one of the most popular tanks. Shattering Throw, 30-second cooldown, not nearly as short of a cooldown as, say, Iron Skin. But once Iron Skin is gone, Johanna dies just like every other tank in the game, like every other character in the game. So if I can go out of my way to try and get rid of that, and I also get the passive from this, basic attacks against heroes deal up to 200% bonus physical damage to shields. So if a Johanna's on the other team, I'm going to Shattering Throw that Johanna and then smash Johanna. I know what a lot of you are thinking, but anyways, Shattering Throw can be really good in those situations against any character that's going to have a shield, any character that's going to have a lot of that. A lot of that's going to be pretty important. So shout outs to this one. We'll get to it here in just a second. So level 16, as it is with everything else in the game, staying alive is going to be much better than anything else in the game. How do you stay alive? 20 armor. 20 armor gives me that potential to stay in any fight much longer. It's a buff for my entire team. If I'm playing with an Uther, if I'm playing with a Morales, I might not need armor as much because it's going to be dished out from my healers, or if somebody else is giving me armor, I might not need this. So Banner of Iron Forge. Now, if I do really, really need some extra damage, and maybe we picked a heavy front line that's super beefy alongside me, and we're relying on a single carry, I might go Banner of Dalaran and try and stay alive through that regard. Movement speed, probably the last thing that I'm going to pick, but it does have a place. Short cooldowns on Banner of Dalaran and Stormwind do seem appealing, but for me, I've got that gap closer from Colossus Smash, from my Charge, which gives me a slow, from my Lion's Fang, that gives me a slow, so I'm going to rely on those in terms of controlling the enemy team, not necessarily have to worry about a banner that's there, but staying alive as a Varian and getting a second rotation out of Smash feels pretty good. Banner of Dalaran, getting that increased 20% spell power could be beneficial in certain areas. If you are trying to blow up a target, an extra 20% spell power never hurt anybody. But again, that is a situation that you know why you're picking it and when you're picking it, what team you have. Level 20, go over this all the time. If you've watched the other videos, you're probably like, all right, I've heard this before. Glory to the Alliance and Demoralizing Shout are both really good, but what about the Heroic upgrade? Colossus Smash affects all enemies near the target, and its cooldown is reduced by 10 seconds. Post level 20, having a 10-second Colossus Smash is actually not bad. Getting the AoE armor reduction is pretty cool. But if I'm going against a team that's also got some firepower to it, I'm going to consider Demoralizing Shout as my primary option. Reducing 40% of the incoming damage makes things pretty good. I'm also probably not going to stack Demoralizing Shout with my Banner of Iron Forge unless I know I'm taking just a boatload of damage, because those are kind of diminishing returns at that point, and I'm reducing damage that's already being reduced, and maybe that's good, but I might want to try and play around those cooldowns a little differently. Demoralizing Shout on a 25-second cooldown, my Banner on a 45-second cooldown. I'm going to play around those things. Glory to the Alliance can help me out in certain situations. That, go back and watch some of the other videos, or kind of use your brain and think about this before you get into the game. And Master at Arms, a 10-second smash target, seems very tempting. You can stay on top of somebody. If you went protected, the odds of you being able to stay alive to get a second rotation out is actually really high to get onto that for Varian. So there's a lot of different things you can do with Varian, but a lot of it very much is less about the talents, more about how you play. Because the talents don't have the overwhelming impact that some of the other characters have, you have a little more freedom to kind of adjust and see what you need to do against some of these people. So there's different things to consider when playing Smash Varian. But as I said at the beginning, Smash Varian is far more reliant and reliable because of its consistency. I know that I will always have subpar wave clear, but I know that I will always have an impact in a fight because of instant damage and armor reduction. Wind Blades, I might get blind and I might not do damage for like 5 seconds because I'm being hard countered by the enemy team. Taunt Varian, I might just get run over because the enemy team picked a whole bunch of stuff that just runs past me. Smash Varian's probably the only time I would ever pick Varian pre-second ban, because Twin Blades Varian, Taunt Varian both get countered pretty easily in the draft. Smash Varian probably the hardest to counter, because if I can just come through and combo a target and have that instant impact, you can't take that away from that. But you can take away the taunt capabilities, you can take away the Twin Blades capabilities. So a lot of that you got to consider. Smash Varian I think is actually pretty decent. I'm probably going to start playing him more against Johanna's and potentially in our Nubarak with the shields, different things that allow me to combo. Nubarak dives in, boom, I'm targeting you. You got no way out, buddy. I'm coming in and I'm taking that shield and I'm taking your life with me. And you have 20 reduced armor. All of these things say that Varian can have a spot. I think it comes by way of Smash. Forcing the other ones a lot more difficult, but Smash Varian, good? Is it good?